talk in the book about dealing with guilt and receiving forgiveness. Why did you feel that we needed to address that in our discipling?
The old paradigm of salvation as overcoming, as freedom from guilt, still remains basic to Christianity. And if we lose that, we lose a major understanding of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so I think we need to find ways in which that is done. Guilt is a reality. When you fail God, you have violated your humanity. And those who violate their humanity lose authenticity. They lose their fullness as people. And they need freedom from guilt. And there is nothing that can give you freedom from guilt, as much as the fact that the God of this universe sent his son to die, to take our guilt upon himself, and that now we can be freed from guilt by virtue of what he did. I think that is a message that is difficult to communicate in today's world, but is still the greatest liberating news that there is.
It is an amazing and incredible news that everyone needs to hear. You mentioned the relief of guilt. You mentioned in the book about finding this freedom. And you also mentioned the need for helping people understand how to respond to injustice that have been done to them. You mentioned taking revenge. That's the first time I think I've ever read anyone talking about taking revenge in discipleship. Where did that come from? Why did you feel the need to address that particular issue?
As you know, as I mentioned earlier, my wife and I have been working primarily with Buddhist converts, and in a church. Our grassroots ministry is in our church. I'm doing mentoring and teaching in Youth for Christ, but my grassroots ministry is in my church. And church life wouldn't be church life if there aren't church fights.
Yes.
Yeah. And then those of us who are leaders in the church, one of our great jobs is trying to be peacemakers in the church. And constantly we have been told, I don't know how many times, but several times, my wife and I have been told, you can do this, but we can't. Because so much a part of their culture is revenge. If you have been dishonored, it would be dishonorable for you not to hit back. You're bringing shame to your wife for not assaulting the person who insulted your wife. It's wrong. What you're doing is something wrong. So we have to bring another aspect. We have to teach that Christians don't take revenge, because already, and the whole idea of Christ taking the whole idea of judgment. In fact, I don't think we can push forgiveness and not taking revenge properly if we don't have a proper doctrine of judgment. Because it's unfair. Unfair things have been done to us, and that's wrong. But we know that there is a God who judges, and that he will do what is necessary to bring justice. If we did it, we'll make a mess of it. So we do what we can do, which is love the person, which may in the process end up in that person repenting and becoming our friend, you know. But there is such a thing as justice, and God will judge. Without that whole biblical viewpoint, it's very difficult for us not to push to ask people not to take revenge.
In Buddhism, though, isn't the problem of suffering rooted in desire? I mean, just theologically, so that doesn't make sense to me. But there's a lot of things in different religions that don't seem logical to me, even in my own faith. But I don't understand how they want to take revenge if suffering is a result of desire and desire is bad. Shouldn't then theologically, I don't know how you say that in a Buddhist context, since they don't believe in one God. The term isn't theological, philosophically, probably. How does that work? I mean, how do they justify the idea of suffering and say, okay, suffering is at the root of the problem, and that's because of your desire? How do they then say justice? You don't even really have a concept of justice in Buddhism, do you?
Well, I think in all religions, even Christianity, the religion is mixed with culture. And aspects that are not compatible with the religion are brought into the culture, brought into the lifestyle because of culture. And I think this is one of those cases. And when they talk about suffering, what they really mean is more like frustration that, Ecclesiastes talks about and things like that. What they are saying is that because you have desire, you are never going to be fulfilled. You're going to be frustrated. And if you're going to have freedom from that frustration, you have to get rid of desire.